Most men think attraction grows through more attention, more texting, more reassurance, more availability, but here's the strange part. The men women obsess over the most are usually the men who never make emotions easy to control. And Machiavelli understood this long ago. Because the moment someone fully controls your attention, your mystery disappears. Most men never notice this. They think attraction disappears because they said the wrong thing. No, attraction usually dies much earlier. It dies the moment you become emotionally predictable. A woman replies late once, and suddenly the man sends 3 more messages. You okay? Did I do something? Why are you distant? Now watch what happens next. The conversation no longer feels exciting. It feels heavy, not because he cares too much, but because she can now predict his emotional behavior completely. And once people can predict your emotional reactions, they stop feeling curiosity. This is where attraction quietly changes, because people become emotionally attached to anticipation more than possession. Think about it. The songs people replay the most are usually the songs that create tension. The movies people remember most keep them emotionally uncertain. Human attention works the same way. The brain focuses on what feels incomplete. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Power grows when access feels valuable, and value drops when something becomes unlimited. That includes attention. This does not mean becoming cold or cruel. It means understanding one uncomfortable truth. Constant emotional availability often removes emotional tension, and without tension, attraction slowly becomes comfort. Then comfort becomes boredom. Comment: attention loses value when it becomes unlimited. Now this is where most men lose all emotional leverage. Women do not always test emotional strengths consciously. Sometimes attraction itself creates the test. A woman suddenly becomes quieter, replies slower, mentions another man casually. Most men react instantly. They become defensive, needy, emotionally loud. But the dangerous part is, these moments are usually observations. She may never say this directly, but her behavior does. How stable are you emotionally? Because emotional reactions reveal dependence fast. The more your mood depends on her behavior, the more power leaves your hands. And women notice this quickly. One woman jokes about another guy during a conversation. The first man reacts immediately. Who's that? Why are you bringing him up? You trying to make me jealous? The second man smiles calmly and changes the subject. She remembers the second man. Why? Because emotional stability feels rare. Most people are easy to control emotionally. A little attention changes them, a little distance breaks them. But calmness creates psychological weight. Machiavelli believed power belongs to the person who controls themselves first. And attraction works the same way. The less reactive you become, the harder you are to manipulate emotionally. That creates respect, not fake respect, deep emotional respect. Because people trust emotional strength more than emotional intensity. Here's the strange part. Many men think confidence means talking louder. No, real confidence appears during uncertainty, when things feel unclear and you still remain calm. That is what people remember. If you are building a calm and disciplined mind, subscribe to Ilu Codex, because most people are taught how to chase attention. Very few learn how to control their emotional energy. Now watch carefully how relationship power changes. The moment a man becomes fully focused on his own life, attraction often returns. Not always, but often. Why? Because scarcity creates mental replay. When someone feels constantly available, the brain relaxes. But when access becomes limited, curiosity wakes up again. This is why absence changes emotional dynamics, not because absence is magic, because the brain starts noticing what is no longer guaranteed. Most men misuse this idea. They fake distance, play games, ignore messages on purpose. That is not power, that is performance. Real emotional gravity comes from having a life that genuinely holds your attention, a mission, a purpose, a direction, something bigger than emotional approval, and women feel this immediately. A man who revolves around a woman feels emotionally dependent. A man who values his time feels emotionally grounded. Huge difference. People chase what feels emotionally difficult to replace, not what feels constantly available. That is why some men become unforgettable, not because they chased harder, because they carried calmness, direction, and emotional control. And here is the dangerous part. People obsess more over interrupted emotional patterns than completed ones. That is why mystery creates replay inside the mind. The brain keeps returning to what it has not fully solved. Most men never notice this. They think attraction is built through constant reassurance. But too much reassurance removes emotional tension. Now, this does not mean becoming emotionally distant forever. It means removing emotional desperation. There is a difference. A needy man asks constantly, "Are we okay? Do you still like me? Why are you acting different?" And slowly, attraction turns into emotional maintenance, because constant reassurance seeking signals one thing: fear. Fear of losing attention, fear of uncertainty, fear of emotional disconnection, and fear changes behavior fast. People start over-explaining, over-texting, overreacting. Now mystery disappears completely. This is where attraction quietly dies, because emotional dependence lowers psychological tension. And tension is part of attraction. Confidence is not loud behavior. It is emotional self-control under uncertainty. That is why emotionally grounded people feel powerful without trying. They do not chase clarity every second. They observe behavior calmly. They let actions reveal truth naturally. Machiavelli understood that power often belongs to the person least desperate for validation, because desperation destroys leverage, and emotional leverage matters in every relationship. Comment: silence creates power. Now let's go deeper. The men women never forget are rarely the men who gave endless attention. Usually, they are the men who created emotional impact. The calm man, the emotionally stable man, the man who did not panic when things became uncertain. People remember emotional experiences more than comfort. That is why some men stay in memory long after they leave, not because they manipulated emotions, because they carried emotional control. And emotional control creates emotional safety. Ironically, the man who does not chase constantly often feels more secure to be around, because his emotions are not collapsing every few minutes. Most men believe attraction is built by securing attention, but attraction often grows through emotional contrast, presence, distance, curiosity, calmness. This is where Machiavelli becomes important. He understood something most people ignore. The person who controls attention controls power. And the moment you stop throwing attention everywhere carelessly, people feel the difference. This changes how they see you, how they value you, how they remember you. So the goal is not to become cold. The goal is to become emotionally difficult to control. Because the moment someone fully owns your reactions, the dynamic changes. But when your emotions stay grounded, even during uncertainty, you become hard to replace and hard to forget. Most men spend years trying to become more attractive. Fewer learn emotional restraint, but emotional restraint creates mystery. Mystery creates tension, and tension keeps attention alive. The old mindset says, chase harder so she stays. The stronger mindset says, build a life, mind, and presence that cannot be emotionally controlled easily. That changes everything. Because the moment you stop reacting to every emotional shift, their power over you weakens. And when emotional control disappears, the chase begins to reverse. If this message made you see attraction differently, subscribe to IL Codex. And ask yourself one question tonight. Are you creating attraction through emotional pressure or through emotional presence? Because the moment you stop chasing certainty, you become much harder to forget.